Chess is a privileged game, and I'm here to break it. Imagine in country like India, where you have a billion plus population, you hardly have less than 100 GMs. Do we lack talent? Absolutely not, right? You know a person who is more talented than which is in next street, which is in the same school, which is in the same college. You know 10 people who are way more talented than. But why there are very less GMs? It's pretty simple because the infrastructure is completely poor. So you don't have adequate coaching, and coaching are expensive, and people charge a crazy amount to learn. So now I am here to break it. So what I'm going to do, who I am. So hey everyone, I am Ratish. I am a chess player and chess coach. I've been playing chess, started at age of 8 and I'm 25 now. You do the math how old I am. And I started coaching at 18 again. Started at 18 and now I'm 25. You do the math how long I've been coaching. So I worked with absolute beginners and I made them FIDE rated. So my job is to make you a FIDE rated player, or you can put it, I want you to put you in a top 5 percentile of the top chess players. And I'm going to do it everything at absolutely zero cost. So how I'm going to do that is what we're going to see through the journey. Now let me introduce to everyone's favorite piece, elephant. Now in chess, we call this elephant as nothing but a rook. Now, how does the rook move? Rook moves straight. It's as simple as that. It moves upwards, it moves downwards, it moves left, and it moves right. Unlike other pieces, rook doesn't have any restrictions. So it can go anywhere it wants, unless it cannot go diagonal and it cannot jump over other pieces like knight. How does a rook capture? If your opponent piece in the same line as rook, rook can capture the piece. But as the rule says, you cannot capture your own piece, and that is applicable to every piece. Now let me introduce to the sniper of the game. The sniper of the game is nothing but the bishop. And bishop is also pretty simple to understand. The bishop moves diagonally. As simple as that. It doesn't go straight. It only moves diagonally. Now you will find two bishops on the board and on two respective colors. One is black bishop and another one is white bishop. Now, since it's pretty simple, it moves only diagonal. A black bishop moves only on the black lane and the white bishop moves only on the white lane. Now, as the rule says, it can capture your opponent pieces, which is in the diagonal, but it is not supposed to capture your own pieces. Similar restrictions, the bishop cannot jump like any pieces. It can only go diagonal. Now, let me introduce to one of the most powerful piece on the board. None other than queen. Queen is the most powerful piece in the board. The reason is pretty simple. The queen can go literally anywhere on the board. It can go straight and it can go diagonal, which is nothing but it can go like a rook and it can go like a bishop too. So a queen is a combination of two powerful pieces. Imagine if you keep a queen on the center and count like how many squares a queen can go. You would be awestruck to know queen can literally cover 27 squares from the center, which is fabulous, which is no piece can do that, and that is why queen is the most powerful piece in the board. Now, how does a queen capture? Queen can capture as similar as rook. Rook can capture straight. Similarly, queen can capture straight. Similar as bishop. Bishop can capture diagonal and the queen can also capture diagonal. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to the most powerful piece in the board, king. Now, king is a very interesting piece if it purely depends on what perspective you see the king from. So without king, there is no game. But with king, do you think king can do a lot of work? Let me tell you. King can go anywhere in the board, but with a small condition. It can go only one step. King is also like queen. It can go straight, down, left, right, center, cross, you name it, it moves. But it can go only one step. The restriction is huge. So the king mobility is very restricted. Now, how does the king capture? King also capture like any other pieces. It can capture on the top, down, left, right, on the diagonals. But as it restriction says, it can only capture which is in the next square of the king. Let me introduce to the trickiest piece on the board. And most beginners find it very difficult to move the knight. But you guys don't worry, you got me, one of the best trainer to teach you the knight. So knight is a pretty simple, at the same time bit complicated to understand how does it move. So unlike other pieces, knight has a special feature too. Let me introduce that in the later stage. So now how does the knight move? Knight can move 3 steps. Okay, only it can move to 3 steps. But unlike bishop, it doesn't go diagonal Unlike rook, it doesn't go straight, but it goes in L shape. Now, knight is so good because the knight is the only piece which can jump over other pieces. Like queen is most powerful in the board, but still it cannot jump, and rook followed by bishop and pawns and kings. No piece can jump, but knight can jump, and that makes itself a uniqueness for the knight. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to the last piece of the board. Last but not least, the pawn. So few people have a perception around pawn. Pawn is one of the least valued piece. Yes, that's absolutely true. Pawn has very limited restrictions. Pawn can hardly move only one step or two step, and initially it can go either one or two, but after that it can only move one step at a time, and it can capture the pieces sideways. Unlike other pieces, it can capture the pieces on the sideways. But now, what is so special about a pawn? Now, pawn is an underdog. A pawn, once it reaches to the 8th rank, it can become your favorite piece. It can become your queen, it can become your knight, it can become a rook, it can become a bishop, except you can't take a king. So that is why I always say pawn is an underdogged piece. If you can use your pawn properly, if you can able to take your soldiers to that side of the ship, you're sorted. Let's learn chess in a simple Bahubali way. Now, what is Bahubali way? I think everyone have watched Bahubali, right? Now, the chess is also similar to that story. Now, let me tell you what is it. So, imagine in Bahubali, so there were two armies, correct? One is Kalakeya and one is the Bahubali one. Now, the Kalakeya wants the Bahubali army. Now, they plan, they strategize, they fight, and everything does. Now, imagine the same thing happening over the board without no bloodsheds, and the same team, the same army, but just in a fictional way. So that is the, ladies and gentlemen, chess for you. Now let me introduce how it is being played and other things. So chess has fundamentally, it is like you have your army, they have your army, and it happens in the 64 square because you need a place to fight, right? That place is called as a chessboard, and it is in the 64 square. Now that you know chess is nothing but a war, now let's learn about the chessboard. And chessboard is the another important thing which you need to master, because when you know where the war is happening, so you can have a better edge. So chessboard has 64 squares. The war happens in the 64 squares. In 64 you have 32 dark squares and 32 light squares. Every square has a particular name, and why do you need to learn the name? Is pretty simple, because let's say you want to move your army from one end to other end, you need to inform them, right? Hey, go from here to there and there to here. And for that conversation, I will be teaching you name of the squares. Now, remembering 64 names could be a bit trickier. That is what you think? You're absolutely wrong. The names have built in a very easy way. So for example, let's take a name of this square, which is A1. So there are two lines, which I call it as a standing line, and the other line I call it as a sleeping line. Now in the standing line and sleeping line, there is an alphabets and numbers. A square name is nothing but a combination of an alphabet and a number. So if you see this square, which is A and 1, which is nothing but A1. Example, if you see this square, which is C and 5, which is nothing but C5. As simple as that, right? Okay, now that you know name of the squares and how names of the pieces, now let me tell you something which is very advanced, but you can do it. So which is like knowing the color of the square but without seeing the square. Yeah, so literally you can close the board and you can do this exercise, and you would find it more interesting. Now, how do you remember which square belongs to which name belongs to which square? Example, if I'm saying it's color A1, can you tell me what is the color of an A1 square? Pause the video and tell. Okay, let's say if you can able to answer that, name E5. Can you tell me the name of the E5 color of the E5 square? Okay, if you're struggling, and here is a simple trick. Take the odd number, or I'll give you a formula. Take your notebook and write it down. The formula goes odd plus odd equal to black, and even plus even equal to black. And if you think you're one of the smartest, take a minute and break down the logic. Okay, and for others, let me break down the logic for you. Now, when I say odd plus odd, so here let's take a square name, which is A plus 1. So A is an odd alphabet, and 1 is odd number, so odd plus odd is nothing but a black. Now if you turn your chessboard and see, A1 would be the black square. Now let's take a similar example, even plus even equal to black. Now let's take as easy as example as D2. A, B, C, D. D is the fourth alphabet, which is nothing but even alphabet. 2 is an even number, so even plus even is equal to black. So you can check the board, turn the board and see that square also would be black. So now that you know 32 black squares, anything which doesn't fall on this will be a white square. It is as simple as even plus odd equal to white and odd plus even equal to white. Thank you.